A woman who was 7 months pregnant sat behind the wheel of a car, waiting for the signal to cause a staged car crash. The man who convinced her to do it wasn't a criminal gang leader. No, he was her boyfriend. And over the course of 2 years, that same man manipulated multiple women into staging car crashes for insurance claims, where he would keep the proceeds. His name is Nathan Atkins. Investigators said he treated these dating apps like a recruitment agency for fraud. Welcome back to Money, Crimes and Human Minds. Today we are looking at one of the most disturbing twists on romance frauds that investigators have seen. We're here to explore the world of identity theft, but stolen by people that we trust the most. Now, we're used to seeing people ask outright for money and loans, but this case could have even longer lasting consequences for victims. In fact, one quick favour could end with a criminal record and ruin your financial future, being blacklisted from obtaining things like car insurance and even unable to get a mortgage. We study these cases here because it is the ultimate way to protect yourself from these things happening to you, by understanding the manipulation that turns ordinary people into unwitting accomplices. Now, to bring you this story, I've had a good look through the trial notes from the Crown Court and the latest intelligence from the Insurance Fraud Bureau to show you exactly how this predator operated. Now, this story centres on Nathan Atkins, a 46-year-old from Dorset, who was a master of the long con. A man who would use different names, including Philip Realon and Paul Jester, whilst looking for women to impress and ultimately to recruit. He spent time building these deep romantic bonds, but behind the scenes, he was also busy at car auctions, buying at least 7 different vehicles specifically to be destroyed as part of this elaborate cash for crash scam. The timing was also targeted and deliberate. He would wait until his victims had fallen for him, knowing that they would help him out if he asked, and then he would set an emotional trap. Now, unusually, he wasn't just asking for savings. No, many of these victims actually didn't have an awful lot of money to give him, but they did have something that Atkins wanted that was far more valuable: a clean record and a valid insurance history. You see, ultimately, Atkins orchestrated 16 fraudulent insurance claims by convincing his partners to take part in these planned crashes. He would choose the location, literally give them a script to follow, and then persuade them to report whiplash and other injuries to insurers to make these claims. But I think the most shocking moment was this arranged collision with a lady who was 7 months pregnant. So for Atkins, the risk to this unborn child was just part of the business plan. And the ultimate goal was simple: file the claims and he would take the payout, all the time sat at home, taking none of the risk and yet keeping all of the rewards. But the Insurance Fraud Enforcement Department were watching, and they noticed a pattern of vehicles all linked to Atkins appearing in multiple claims but with different drivers. And when they dug into the partners involved, they found this trail of women who all shared something in common: recently started dating a man matching Atkins' description. By July 25, the game was up, and he was ultimately sentenced to 20 months in prison. But there was a real fallout for the women. They weren't just victims, they were also technically fraudsters with police cautions. Imagine someone you love asking to stage a car crash to just help them out. Would you refuse immediately, or would you consider it because you trusted them or wanted to help? Tell me honestly in the comments what you would do. So why did they do it? Why would a pregnant woman agree to be in a car crash for a man she just met? Well, we have to factor in things like coercive persuasion. It's likely that Atkins used some element of that, particularly preying on these reciprocal emotions, the feeling that if someone loves you, you should perhaps prove your loyalty or reciprocate in that way. It was likely being reframed as well as a favour, not a criminal act, something that would benefit them both and cement their relationship. There is often use of this foot in the door technique as well, starting small, perhaps asking them to lie about a minor detail, a little white lie, before ultimately moving on to this actual crime of a staged crash. And because the victims weren't seeing a direct loss to their own money, probably didn't feel like they were being taken advantage of at the time. We also have to think about the empathy gap. So, this is where a predator convinces the victim that it's a faceless, wealthy insurance company. It makes it feel victimless and therefore easier to accept. The empathy element isn't necessarily there. So the biggest takeaway here is to recognise the identity request. If someone you know, a friend, a family member, someone you're dating, someone asks, no matter how much you trust them, if they ask you to do any of the following, then you are probably being groomed for fraud. So, for example, asking you to confirm an accident or event that you didn't personally see, give them an alibi, or tell a particular story, then they're not asking for the help. They're using your name and your good name to shield themselves. If they can't use their own name to take out an insurance policy or a bank account due to an old mistake, please don't offer yours. Do tell us in the comments and share your stories. If you want to understand how intelligent, experienced people make these catastrophic mistakes that lead to crime and how to protect yourself from these kinds of red flags, please subscribe now. Next week, we have a shocking story involving theft, with the victim being targeted even after they died. Don't miss it.